Educational GMAT. Your partner in your GMAT journey.
Evaluate. All right. Not easy. Not easy, guys. Tell me what thrives in soil with high concentrations of metals.
The name is not given.
Sorry?
They have mentioned a certain cultivated herb, which is part
Yeah.
of.
All right. Okay. 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 All right. Now, so there is soil. All right. There is soil which has metals. The soil has metals. Now, these metals are toxic to most plants, correct? So, which means that these plants are not able to grow. Most plants are not able to grow in this soil because of metals. However, there is a group of closely related plants that thrive in this. So there is a group of plants that thrives in this metal laden soil, group of plants. And this is one of the herbs in that group of plants, right? A certain cultivated herb is one of the closely related plants that thrive in this metal laden soil. These metals are harmful to most other plants, but this group of plants thrives. Agronomists studying the growth of this herb, agronomists are studying the growth of this herb. What have they discovered? That this herb produces what? This herb produces large amounts of histidine, an amino acid. So herb produces histidine, and histidine renders these metals chemically inert. Can someone tell me what is the meaning of this? Renders the metals chemically inert?
That they cannot react anymore.
Very nice. So because of histidines, the metals are ineffective essentially, right? Herb produces histidine, right? This herb produces histidine, and histidine makes the metals inert. Inert means essentially inactive. So which means because of production of histidine from this herb, the presence of metals in the soil is essentially inconsequential. It does not matter. But we have to evaluate this, mind you. We have to evaluate this. So obviously, this is the conclusion that we have to judge, right? That's what evaluate means, to judge or form an opinion. It's very important, guys. So basically what we're saying is that before, what else should we know so that it will help us, that additional information would help us either strengthen this or weaken this, right? Okay, all right. Yes, friends, interesting one. All right, I'll actually draw that diagram again. I think that will help. So notice what we discussed was that this was metal laden soil, and these this is that closely related group of plants that thrive in this metal laden soil. This is, let's say, herb 1, this is herb 2, this is herb 3, right? All of these do very well in the metal laden soil, right? Now, agronomists, by the way, out of these 3 herbs, have done analysis for which herb? Let's say this one, right? They are analyzing herb 1, and they found that herb 1 produces histidine, and this histidine is the reason why metals are ineffective, right? They are ineffective. And on the basis of this finding, they are concluding that this herb is able to thrive in metal laden soils, right? On the basis of the fact that histidine, that herb 1 produces histidine, they are concluding that histidine is the reason why, or just because histidine makes the metals chemically inert, that's the reason this herb is able to thrive in metal laden soil. Okay, all right. Now think about it, guys. All these plants do very well in metal laden soils. Herb 1 is producing histidine for sure, right? That's also given to us as a fact. Let us say herb 2 and herb 3 do not produce histidine, do not produce histidine. Then can you really conclude that histidine is the reason why herb 1 is able to grow in metal laden soils? Friends, are you getting me? Herb 1, herb 2, herb 3, all of them do very well in metal-laden soils, right? Herb 1 produces histidine, but herb 2 and herb 2 do not produce histidine. Then can you really conclude that histidine is the reason why this group of plants is doing very well? All right, I'll repeat again. Herb 1, herb 2, herb 3, all are doing very well, right? They are all thriving in metal-laden soils, right? Herb 1 we know produces histidine. Let us say herb 2 and herb 3 do not produce histidine. Then can you really conclude that histidine is the reason why these plants are doing well? Clearly no, right? Because herb 2 and herb 3 do not produce histidine. So clearly histidine could not be the reason why this group of plants is doing well in metal-laden soils. On the other hand, let us say herb 2 and herb 3 also produce histidine. Then can you conclude that perhaps histidine is the reason why these plants are doing well in metal-laden soils? Yes, because all the plants associated with this group are producing histidine, right? And notice that's exactly what Baker says. Whether others, in others, what did I consider? Herb 2 and herb 3. Whether others of the closely related group of plants. What was closely related group of plants? Herb 1, herb 2 and herb 3. Whether others, notice herb 1 definitely produces histidine, that's given to us as a fact. Whether others also produce histidine in large quantities, if the answer is yes, then the conclusion that histidine is the reason for for this herb to do well in metal-laden soils is strengthened. On the other hand, if we answer this as no, others in the closely related group of plants do not produce histidine, right? Which means herb 2 and herb 3 do not produce histidine. Think about it, guys. Let us say herb 2 and herb 3 do not produce histidine. All right. Do not produce histidine. Let us say we know that herb 1, herb 2, and herb 3 thrive in metal rich soils. This is given to us, right? Now, if you combine this information and this information, I think it should be very evident that clearly histidine is not the reason for this group of plants to do well in metal rich soils, because herb 2 and herb 3 do not even produce histidine. So how can histidine be the reason? Right? So if you answer this as no, that basically herb 2 and herb 3 do not produce histidine, then your conclusion is weakened. Rather, the argument's conclusion is weakened. So again, providing mutually opposite extreme answers to option Baker is producing two mutually opposite conclusions. Notice some other amino acid is out of scope. We are just considering histidine here. Over time, how would it impact the concentration of metals? We don't care about. Whether the concentration of histidine in the growing herb declines as the plant approaches maturity, obviously would be again out of scope.